Hey guys, welcome back to Chris and Retro. Tonight's video is going to have some controversy, I guess, a little bit about it if you're in the recovery community. Um, Many things that we hear in our recovery journeys, either from people that are struggling with addiction or in the road to recovery, become repetitious. There's things that we hear over and over again, and sometimes I think that we forget to challenge what we're hearing and just accept it at face value. Well, I've been hearing something for since I started being in meetings in 2017, and actually probably in 2016, I think was my first meeting, if I recall correctly. So I'll kind of blur at that point because I wasn't serious at that point, but I did go to a couple meetings, I guess, to appease my home life, and started hearing some of these things all along the way. And AA is notorious, or NA is notorious for bumper sticker type quotes. I mean, you can hear a million different quotes. You hear them all the time, and in some cases, they're a little bit laughable when you hear certain people say them because you know what their current frame of mind is. But there's some people that really communicate, the path to recovery and do it in a way that you believe and it's authentic. Well, I had a speaker the other night kind of start blurting out some of these um, responses, and one of them is one that I've questioned. I'm not saying it's not true. I've questioned it, and we're going to explore that tonight on the show. And I'm going to share a little bit of um, input from a couple people that are doctors. I'm not sure. The one is a medical site, and then the other is going to talk about this. I believe from a research perspective. I don't think they're academic in their background, but it could be wrong. But they're all PhDs, and so they're smarter than me, basically. But the idea is, I believe that addiction is a disease. I've always believed it's a disease, and I believe it's a mental health disease, and I believe that it is um, over time does chemically alter our bodies, and it does change how it is that we respond to alcohol. It reduces our ability to fight it off, but at the same time, our tolerance gets higher, so we need more. It causes all kinds of medical conditions outside of it as a byproduct of what it is. So there's no doubt in my mind that is a medical deteriorating thing to have in your life. But at the same time, I do believe that addiction is a disease. Um, However, one of the things that comes up an awful lot is they talk about my allergy. I have an allergy, and you'll hear this. People that are AA zealots will talk about alcoholism in particular. That's the groups that I affiliate with as a allergy. Now, how that sounds to me, and this is coming from me who believes that stigma is a real and present danger for us, and we're in recovery because it does, has all kinds of implications. It hurts our career, hurts our relationships, hurts what people think about us, hurts our medical treatment, all of it. So stigma, I'm real sensitive to. And when I think about somebody calling it an allergy, and if you want a community around you to understand where you are in your life relative to addiction, we start talking about allergies to the quote unquote normies, and they're going to be like, yeah, right. We can make it plausible to help them understand what the disease is of addiction and why it's a disease and the fact that it is a mental health disease. But when we have somebody claim it's an allergy, it just doesn't really sit well. It really never really sat well with me, because the notion of it is that when people talk about alcoholism being an allergy, they usually then move on and talk about the spiritual malady of it, which is the spiritual component. And then they talk about the mental obsession. So they've really covered the physical, saying it's an allergy, to the spiritual that says it's spiritual malady, and the mental health of it is that it's an obsession. Um, the allergy piece, I could co-sign the other two. The allergy piece, I'm just not sure that I agree with, and it just doesn't make sense to me based on what I understand allergies to be. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight, and I guess that as we go through this thing, we'll see what we discover. And I'll see where I land at the end of this, and then perhaps you guys can provide some feedback on what your thoughts are on this as well. But my biggest thing is that, saying it's an allergy, and based on a lot of the work that we have to do in recovery after we've gotten to that point of step one where we decided that our life is unmanageable and that we just can't take it anymore, we've got to get this out of our lives. We need support around that, and calling it an allergy always felt like a cop out to me, honestly. No, but I'm willing to be open minded as we go through this, and have this discussion tonight. So I've got a couple things I'm going to share with you, and I'll start with that right away here. Medically, we'll start with the medical conversation relative to this. And I cheated, and I used WebMD. So WebMD defines an allergy. It says most people don't have. So I specifically asked, is alcohol an allergy versus intolerance? And I never really explored it as just an intolerance. I always thought of it as a mental health issue that was hiding in whatever substance you choose, or addiction to gambling, sex, drugs, alcohol, work, food, smoking, all these things, I looked at as just dealing with mental health issues, and probably because my lens is coming from that. But WebMD says that the alcohol allergy versus intolerance, they reframe it up like this. Most people who have a reaction to alcohol are allergic to it. That have a reaction to alcohol, they're not allergic to it. They have an intolerance. They don't have one of the active enzymes needed to process alcohol. And I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but it's ADH or ALDH are the two. And they're often called alcohol intolerance. This is often called alcohol intolerance. So we don't have one of those active enzymes needed. The symptoms of alcohol allergy are usually more serious. A sign of an alcoholic allergy are rashes, trouble breathing, stomach cramps, collapse, anaphylaxis, which is severe reaction that can include rapid, weak pulse, nausea, and vomiting. If you have this swelling and trouble breathing, call 911. Alcohol intolerance, red, flushed face, diarrhea, hot feeling, headaches, heartburn, hives, a rash, palpitations, low blood pressure, stuffy nose, stomach pain, trouble breathing, asthma. So that also sounds like withdrawal to me. The intolerance symptoms sound very much like withdrawal to me. But the point of WebMD is they're saying that while there is a true definition, a medical definition of an alcohol allergic reaction, it is rare. But they do exist. And if they did exist, they'd have a lot of the typical symptoms of what an allergy does: rashes, trouble breathing, stomach cramps, that sort of thing. I knew a kid as growing up that actually had an alcohol allergy and darn near killed himself not knowing it. So that's that. We'll move on to what I think is the basis. And I'm not an evangelist of AA, but I am a participant in AA. And a lot of what comes out is like the original founding discoveries of what, alcoholism is, based on the founders of, the Big Book and that type of AA in general. Alcoholism is a manifestation of an allergy. So Dr. William Silkworth, Charlestown Hospital for Alcohol and Drug Addiction. This was in New York City. And he wrote this on March 17th, 1937. And he gets into the whole alcoholism is considered by many physicians as a chronic condition that gradually unfolds itself to a dismal end. So the premise in this is that physicians are looking at alcoholism and addiction as just something that just basically unfolds as you use more of it, and it comes to a dismal end. Now, this physician, it talks about the physical symptoms of alcoholism. And again, this is 1937. Alcoholism, a true allergic state. So based on everything that he was discovering medically, and if you want it, it's available online, pretty easy to find. But alcoholism is a true allergic state. So this writer says that the inevitable conclusion is that true alcoholism is an allergic state, the result gradually increasing sensitization by alcohol over a more or less extended period of time. The constancy of the systems and the progress is too fixed to permit any other explanation. Some are allergic from birth, but the condition usually develops later in life. The development, and of course, these cases are quite comparable with the history of hay fever patients in many respects. One may enjoy absolute freedom for many years from any susceptibility to pollen year after year. However, they gradually develop a sensitivity to it in certain individuals, culminating at last in paroxysms, I'm not sure what that is, of hay fever, and persists indefinitely when the condition is fully established. So he's taking the time with hay fever, the date and time of hay fever and how that was prevalent, and making that correlation between the two, that over time you develop this. Now, as we've seen in previously with WebMD, traditionally we look at the symptoms of allergy are present immediately, and this is saying that over time it's a tolerance thing. So this writer has identified his definition of calling it an allergy is because of its increased lowering of tolerance over time, which I find interesting because with addiction I always thought that your tolerance increased. So let's look at one last piece. This is from Venturi Recovery Center, and so they ask, is this really an allergy? And so they kind of play in the middle here. They said, while the mental aspects of alcoholism are widely accepted, the quote unquote allergy theory has been debated for decades. An allergy is defined as an abnormal immune response to foreign substance, an abnormal immune response to a foreign substance. So I can get that. So if that was the sole end of it all, I could say, okay, well, I can sort of see where they're coming from, but it's not. Many say there are no physical evidence of an allergy in alcoholics. The telltale signs like rashes, inflammation, or even anaphylaxis. So they're saying, yes, even the telltale signs are not there. Many say alcoholic allergy theory is illogical, inconsistent with what is known about allergies, and completely lacks any scientific supporting evidence. One, but so the reference is one, I guess, on the bottom. But what if the actual craving for alcohol is allergic response? Or perhaps more importantly, should we focus more on the alcoholic's unique physiological response to alcohol rather than what is the response is called? So now that as you look at this article, they're saying, okay, I understand that the traditional definition of what an allergy is, it doesn't present itself, but what if the desire to drink is actually a manifestation of those cravings or a manifestation of an allergy within the system? And they're going to get into some of the research that's been done. In recent years, they say the research presents, and we remember the enzymes that they were talking about before. They're saying the medical definition is saying that that those that have that allergy don't have certain enzymes, are lacking the production of those enzymes. Here it's saying that the enzymes are actually presenting more. So instead of using sugar for energy, they're using one of those enzymes for energy. So the alcoholic brain may use acetate as an energy source when intoxicated, and with heavy alcohol use can become accustomed to using acetate for its primary energy source. Acetate has been proven to produce cravings for more acetate, especially in alcoholics. So their premise is that the need for acetate is evidence of an allergy and becomes more prevalent with alcoholics. I'll pause on that because I've got a thought on that. They're saying, in short, consistent heavy drinking may change the way our brain processes energy. That just the brain craves more acetate to sustain itself. So they are talking every single thing in this article, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. They're saying their conclusion is alcohol allergy is a real thing. In light of these facts, we can safely conclude that allergy theory is correct. While the use of the term allergy has been refuted, the scientific evidence that there is definitely a unique physiological response in alcoholism remains the same. The alcoholic is truly mentally and physically different than normal temperate drinkers. Okay, so those are the three articles I have as source articles. And so let's go back to, and we're going to get into the Chris Pridmore opinion on it. I can understand where, well, first of all, where my question started coming from was the original medical like thinking, and where most people are going to think, okay, no, you don't have an allergy, you don't have rashes or whatever else. And so the idea of it being an alcohol allergy is a thing, although it's very rare, an actual allergy that produces all these other symptoms that we typically associate with allergies. The middle one is saying very vague things. It has to do with cravings. They didn't understand it. The 1937 one understood something about it, but they didn't get so far into the fact that the brain is actually craving or trying to use acetate, one of those chemicals, one of those enzymes, as its actually energy source. Now, here's where I have a problem with them saying that I'm an alcoholic because I'm allergic to alcohol. There's a lot of other things that could alter that poison in your system, could alter how you treat any number of chemicals in your body. Sounds to me like this one enzyme obviously scientifically has been proven to be altered to the point that it's used as an energy source. But that could also just mean that because you drank too much, you've altered your body. And at that point, you're just chemically wired differently. And for that, there's a lot of other things that are chemically wired differently. The way your receptors receive and release dopamine because of addiction are chemically altered. But that doesn't mean that my brain is alert to it. It just means that my body had a chemical response to a foreign chemical being introduced to it, and a toxin at that. So do these articles actually prove or deny that alcoholism in general is an allergy, rather than saying there's such thing as an alcohol allergy? The traditional AA argument and the last two articles are saying irrefutably that alcoholism is an allergic response in the body. I'm not sure that based on their evidence that I see that. To me, and what I can hang my hat on is it is a mental health disease, and it's based on our obsessions and cravings are a mental health desire, but they're also, over time, it gets worse because our body is now reacting to this toxin in our system that anybody would if they douse themselves. Now, the part that I'm not certain of with any of this is that if anybody drank heavily, would their body be altered? That I'm not sure of, and maybe those articles produced it and I didn't see it. But the argument that alcoholics have a different chemical makeup would make sense to me if not everybody drinking a lot could alter their chemical situation to the point their body needed one of those enzymes to be relied on for energy. So I'm kind of hopefully I'm a non-scientist, so I'm trying to logic through this thing. And really, where I boil down to is this: is that the piece that would be important to me is that can all human beings with the appropriate amount of alcohol change their enzyme production and the way that their body uses the enzymes to function the same as we would say as somebody that alteration could come quicker. I equate it to this: COVID. When COVID hit, there were healthy 40-year-old men that died. No disease issues, no anything. They just died. Low risk factor. And then there were some people that would be considered high risk factor that made it through sick, but they made it through. Why is that? Why does that happen? Well, it comes back to there's a lot of reasons why it could be happening. There's a lot of studies around why that happens, and there's some that correlate it with cancer metastasizing as well. But it's really how the individuals' bodies handle this foreign element in their body and how they process it. I'm not sure that's an allergy. I just think it's the chemical makeup of a human being. And if you bring a toxin in, some people process things different, just like some people run better than others. Some people weightlift better than others. Some people think through math better than others. I just think there's people that react differently to it. And I'm not sure it's an allergy. For those that are traditional in AA, you're probably looking at this video by now and going, what? Of course it's an allergy. What you just said made no sense to me. And then there's going to be people that are kind of on the fence going, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. There's really no evidence of it. So what does it boil down to? What does this do for us as addicts, alcoholics, when we're trying to figure out how to manage this whole thing and move beyond it? Knowing that's an allergy or not knowing it's an allergy, there's no Sudafed to take care of the symptoms of, allergic reaction there's medication. If you had an allergic reaction to alcohol as a true traditional allergy, but there's no chemical that's going to deal with if it truly is an allergy, to alter the chemicals back to their original state. So with that, I still am torn on whether it's an allergy or not, but what does it matter? What we do know is that for some of us, we've chosen alcohol in our life at some point to take that first drink. And some of us, in my case, have some mental health issues that we liked how it made us feel, and it helped us avoid things, allergy or not, and it caused a complete dumpster fire in our lives, and we had to find a way to course correct that. Now, I've had poison ivy before, and I also had an allergic reaction to amoxicillin, of all things. I had a really bad eye infection earlier in the year. Perhaps you may have seen it on the show. I don't recall if I showed you during that time, but I had a really bad eye infection to the point that they had to do CAT scans and everything else. My eye was swollen up like a tennis ball and all this. And I found out the hard way that after they took me off vancomycin, they put me over an IV whatever I just said. Anyway, they put me on the IV, and then I had a reaction to amoxicillin. That's what it was. And so I had all these wide red sores, like within a half a day, they'd climb completely up my ankles, all the way up, midway up my torso, and stop there. But they were just red all over the place. And they left open, deep wounds on my legs to the point that I've got permanent scarring on my legs from allergic reaction to that. There was no going back from that. Those scars are there, and there was, no matter what they try to do to stop it, it just took a while to stop it. They'd use a different antibiotic to take care of this problem. The same thing is with an allergy. I haven't really seen that with alcoholism. We can stop it and come back to the point. If we just don't use again, we can deal with the reasons why we used and the mental health obsessions and the spiritual component of our life that was missing, that we had to address with a higher power. We can deal with all those things without medication. And medication is obviously an assistant, and that's a different rabbit hole I don't want to go down. But in the true nature of an allergy, you would treat that with a Sudafed or, some kind of other drug of choice to help manage that. I just don't see, I'm not convinced that alcoholism is an allergy. I don't have to be convinced. What I do know is that for my life, I can't drink. So it was a curious discussion for me. I wanted to make sure I had it on here. I hope it's not too convoluted, because I'm not an expert. I just find it odd, and sometimes it comes across as an excuse when there's actually work that can be done, and not just say, oh, I got an allergy, Like I'm always going to have to drink when I actually can make a choice today to not, and I have, and I'll make a choice tomorrow, and hopefully it's the same choice, you know. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. What do you think about it? You know, do you think alcoholism is an allergy? I'm curious. What is your perspective? What's your take on mine? Is it, am I out to lunch here? What unique piece, other than these 3 articles or something like that, or the fact that your sponsor told you it's an allergy? Why do you think it is? What evidence do you have that says it absolutely is an allergy versus just a mental health disease that we cause other problems in our body by consuming as much alcohol as we do, that we alter the enzymes in our body? That's not an allergy. That's just poisoning yourself. That's my thought on it. I'm still not conclusive on it, but I'm still sort of leaning towards what my original thinking was, and that it's not. But that's neither here nor there. I hope you guys find what you need to do, allergy or otherwise, to not drink tomorrow and today. And I hope that you're finding the support you need to make sure that you walk forward in your journey. Because the last thing we want to do is keep that high risk living going and burn everything to the ground. If you have lost everything, or if you're really struggling right now trying to figure it out, keep moving forward. Hope is a lot closer than you think it is. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in the lives of others recently, even within the last 24 hours. I've seen the evidence of moving forward and the hope that you can find by taking one step more towards progress. Progress is really key, and it's really motivating. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share and comment. I'm getting involved in some new programs here that are going to impact the show in a positive manner. I'll share more with it. I had a meeting tonight before this show. I'll share more as it progresses more, and get you guys involved with what I'm doing over there. But, you know, thank you so much for being part of this community and helping me grow it. Between now and the next time we talk, I'm going to do every single thing I can do to stay out of trouble, and I hope you do too.